The story based around this, the true story that Captive is based around, a fascinating story in real life, tough story to make a movie out of. Because the centerpiece of what is happening is a woman reading a book. It isn't exactly a movie. It's tough to bring forth on the screen because no one wants to watch a movie about someone reading a book for 2 hours. How difficult was that to take the emotions that are involved in that, the substance that's involved in that, the feelings, the conversations, the spirituality that's involved in that, and convey that without going into the book page by page, line by line, word by word, and reading it?
Well, that's exactly why the book is a relatively small part of the film. Because yes, the book plays a big part, but in terms of the actual event, but at the end of the day, this guy killed 4 people in a day. He was on trial for rape, killed the judge, the stenographer, the sheriff's deputy, and a customs officer before then finding himself 45-minute drive away from Atlanta, Georgia, to find himself in Duluth, Georgia, took this meth addict hostage. She had lost custody of her daughter because of her drug habit. She had lost her husband to a drug-related murder, on her own downward spiral. The fact that these 2 people could conjoin on that day on March 11 of 2005, that is why there's a movie. And then the fact that a guy who had killed 4 people in a day takes a lady hostage, doesn't kill her, lets her go, and gives himself up is also why there's a movie about this film. Makes her pancakes. And also, she makes him pancakes and reads him this book, which somehow the words of Rick Warren through that book diffuse this time bomb of a human being. I feel like the book was a tool, a means by which these 2 people shared a degree of humanity. And ultimately, that's why a corner was turned for both of them. In terms of Ashley Smith, the point beyond which she never touched that drug again. She regained her life, she regained hope and purpose. And for Brian, the point where he was stopped in his tracks and didn't murder this woman and gave himself up.
Ultimately, it's a survival instinct kind of kicks in, and that's where it is. How do you get into that headspace? Do you Ashley's on set, are you talking to her about the experience, her observations? Did you try to see about meeting with him, about having that conversation and getting his account of things? How do you go about crafting this character that it's still a real person and doing the story justice without embellishing, and trying to make it authentic and real and something that people can connect to? Well,
it's all of the above, really. I mean, I couldn't have access to Brian because he's serving multiple life sentences, so that wasn't possible. But Ashley was my main source of information from that point of view, and really talking to her about what that day was like, what he did, how he moved, all of those details that you want as an actor. But at the end of the day, he claimed that he didn't commit the rape that he was on trial for. He had been in jail for about a year and then heard that he had a newborn son. These were all things that, for me as an actor, the toughest thing about playing this role was trying to understand why he did what he did. But there were entry points. If he truly believed he didn't commit that rape, regardless of what I think about that, if he has a son all of a sudden that is synonymous with the moment where he's likely to be jailed for anything up to 25 years, this is a caged animal who feels he needs to break out. And so that's the entry point. That's the point where you go, okay, well, I personally can't understand why anyone would want to kill four people cold-bloodedly, but I can engage with wanting to get to my son, feeling like I've been done wrong, and so therefore feel like there's this kind of justice I have to take a hold of. So those are all the ways to try and truthfully portray this man. He had his own set of rules on that day that he was adhering to that fly in the face of acceptable society. It was a very, very tough role for me to get my head around, but you have to, because you can't judge a character while you're playing the character, otherwise it won't be a truthful portrayal.
You know, that first night is obviously very rough. He's reacting, you know, it's all reaction. It's reaction to everything that's going on around him, reaction to the manhunt, reaction to, you know, feeling like they're coming after him. And then once they start to get an idea of who one another are, I mean, they are two very broken people. And that, to me, is what felt like what joined them there, is that she could identify certain things within him and he can identify certain things in her.
I think that's exactly right. I think that the reason why this movie exists is because there's something miraculous about the fact that this guy ended up in that apartment. I mean, he could have ended up in between Atlanta, Georgia and Duluth, Georgia. It's a different county. Gwinnett County is a different county. He could have ended up in any home between the courthouse and Ashley Smith's home, but he ended up in hers. And as you say, there was this commonality. He had made terrible choices that was keeping him away from his son. She had made terrible choices that was keeping her away from her daughter. They were both on a downward spiral. They looked at each other, and I think they saw they were both a mirror to each other. Of course, the book is a part of it. The words that were in that book are a part of it. But I think it is the common ground that they found that day.